Hi guys, welcome back to another episode of the Storytime Society. I'm your host Jamie. Thank you so much for being here. I'm so happy that you're here. I'm so glad you're alive. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of the Storytime Society. If you haven't already, please press the subscribe button, maybe the like button, and as always, I want to hear your comments, questions, concerns about the episode and the stories that we talk about. Um, also, we have a Spotify. The link is below if you want to follow us on there, if you ever choose to watch on there. And we also have a subreddit that you can join and you can cross post stories, or you can post your own stories or post your friends' stories or something. We love when you guys do that because it's really nice for us. For me, not us. Stop. Us. Who is us? Please let me know. Okay, anyways, I don't have a drink today because I actually just finished my latte. It's sitting over on my vanity, and I don't need another one of those because I'm trying to cut down on my caffeine. But we Oh, also, if you guys, I'm doing an advice segment at the end of every episode. And so if you guys want advice from me, I'm not saying that I'm a professional, but the link is below. It's a Google form and it's anonymous, completely anonymous. But we're going to hop right into the episode and start off with this story, if it will open, because sometimes it likes to be a little bit finicky. So this one is a short one to start off with, but let's see. My fiance wants a pass before our wedding, which is just a few weeks away. Is our relationship over? We've been together for 4 years now, and it seemed like everything was great and mutual. Yesterday at dinner, my soon to be wife brought up the idea of both of us having a free sleep with whoever passed before the wedding. This stupid idea of hers completely blindsided me. I could tell that she had been thinking about it for some time and just waiting for the perfect moment to bring it up. She said it would be healthy for our relationship and our marriage would be off to a better start because of it. She also claimed it would help get everything out of our system. In the 4 years, not you meowing, like, what are you doing right now? In the 4 years we've been together, I've never thought about being with someone else, but it just sucks to know that she doesn't feel the same way. Once she realized I was as excited about her idea as I wasn't as excited about her idea as she was, she began to retract her statements. I really didn't talk to her after that and just went to bed. Since the morning, she's been apologizing over texts. I'm not sure what to feel about this whole mess. On one hand, I really do love her, but I also feel a sense of betrayal from her. I'm not sure if she has a guy in mind or just wants a one night stand. We're getting married in December, just a few weeks away. A breakup seems like something that would not be fun to deal with. Outside of the emotional pain, we've been living together for 2 years. We have a whole wedding planned with people coming for us. I'd like to try and work it out. And maybe I'm just overreacting. My friends think I need to cut my losses and move on. I'd like the opinions from people outside my circle of friends. If I call it off, I have to do it before visiting her family for Thanksgiving. Thanks. Personally, if this was me and my fiance did this, yes, because this is just them saying that I mean, if it would be something that you're into, obviously, it's like if you're into that type of like open relationship or like non-monogamous kind of thing, then that's fine, but like for me, this is just them saying that they want to cheat on you. Like them being like, I want to sleep with someone else, which is not a fun thing to hear your partner say. When you're in a relationship, you're most likely not wanting your partner to say that they want to sleep with someone else. Like, that's genuinely so heart wrenching. Like, I don't even want to think about past partners that my partner has been with. And so I don't really want to think about the fact that he would want to sleep with someone else, especially right before we're getting married. But yeah, I just feel like that's like the worst thing ever to hear. And although she's retracting her statement now, it's like, why? Because now you know that I'm mad about it. And also, not to mention they've been together for 4 years. So what, you've been in a relationship for all this time. Like, why is it different now just because you guys are getting married? Were you not at, I just, that's what I don't get is like, for marriages and relationships, yeah, obviously you're bound by the law at that point, and it's going to be harder to get out of the relationship if you have to get a divorce rather than just like breaking up and not having anything legally to deal with. But like, were you not as committed before because we weren't bound by the law? I'm just a little confused about that. Okay. Let's read some top comments. Nothing screams commitment like wanting to F someone else. In any case, it's probably useful to ask who she had in mind. If the suggestion came from nowhere, one wonders why. You obviously can't move forward with a marriage when your partner suddenly becomes a stranger again. Oh my god, I cannot believe it. Poppy was just chewing on a cord, so I had to kick her out, which honestly, it's not like her to do that. Okay, let's keep reading some comments. If she doesn't have someone in mind yet and her bachelorette is coming up on, I'm betting she's looking for one last fling with some random she meets at a bar. I wonder if one of her friends was like, you need to have one last night of freedom, and then she just decided that she did. I don't understand this mentality of treating marriage as if it's some sort of prison sentence. Instead of, being excited you get to marry someone that you love. Exactly. And how does being engaged to someone equate to being free before you get married? Like, you're still in a relationship. It's still cheating if you F someone else before you get married. Exactly. I'm literally out of breath right now. Oh my god. I feel like I'm about to pass out. I need something. The fact that this is a priority and even a thought that occurred does not bode well. That red flag is slapping you in the face, OP. Yeah, I hope you get out of that because I don't love that for you at all. Next story. Am I the asshole for taking my female coworker to a show after my wife turned me down? I, male 32, need some honest feedback. My wife, Kirsten, female 30, has always been a bit snooty about my taste in music. She particularly hates an indie band that I listen to a lot and constantly makes fun of me for liking them. When I found out that they were having a show in town, I was super excited. I even asked Kirsten if she wanted to go, thinking that maybe she'd surprise me. But of course, she totally annihilated me. She laughed in my face and said something like, "You think I'd go with you to listen to that shit show of a band? What, you think I like having my eardrums piercing with tetanus ridden needles? Please." Feeling a bit defeated, I asked my coworker, Sarah, female 28, if she wanted to go. She's a huge fan too, and we've bonded over our mutual love for the band. We had a blast at the show. When I got home, Kirsten lost her mind. She started yelling at me, saying that she would have gone if I had just asked her nicely. She said I was disrespectful and I should have asked her a couple times more first. I feel terrible. I didn't mean to hurt her feelings, but I was also tired of her constant judgment. Am I the asshole for taking Sarah to the concert? I mean, I probably would have asked, like, my wife first. If it was a female coworker, I would have been like, okay, well, are you okay with me taking blah, blah, blah? Because obviously that can be, like, that can definitely not be interpreted well. I would be pretty upset if my boyfriend was like, I'm going to take this girl then from my work if you're not going to come. Actually, you know what? Why would I be mad even if he did ask me? I'd be like, wait, what? Why don't you go with like a guy friend? I don't know. That just sounds a little, I don't know. Am I crazy? I'm not insecure. I'm a pretty secure person right now. I definitely have been a very anxious attachment. But I feel like for this past year, probably I've been pretty secure in myself and my relationship. But I still don't think that I would want my boyfriend to be hanging out with a girl alone and doing activities with a girl alone. Like, that just sounds like a date to me. That just sounds like people are going to think that they're in a couple. It sounds weird. Also, like, if any of my friends or anything just saw him alone with another girl, they'd definitely be like, what the fuck is going on? And then that would be so embarrassing for me. So I feel like I would be upset. But obviously, the other side of the story is like, she's a bitch too. She's a bitch for being so rude. Like, you think talking down on you for liking this band is just a little bit silly. For personally, even if I hated this band that my boyfriend wanted to go to his concert, I would still go with him because I want to make him happy and be able to experience things that he loves with him, because obviously that's what you do when you're in a relationship. Like, you make compromises, because I'm sure if I wanted to go to some concert, like say Gracie Abrams, because I've been a Gracie Abrams fan for so long and I've always loved all of her music, and if I wanted to go to her concert, my boyfriend would 100% go with me, even though he's obviously not a fan of Gracie Abrams and he doesn't like sad music, like girly sad music like that. But he would still be like, of course I'll come with you. Like, he would be more than willing, and I just don't really understand what the big deal is to go with your significant other to something that they love. So I don't know, on both ends, there's a little bit of sketchiness. It seems like maybe their relationship isn't a good relationship. Like, I don't know. I'm not saying break up, because like that seems to be the thing that every single time everyone's like, you just need to break up. But you know, that's not always the case, is that you always just, the solution is to break up, because they might have a really good relationship in every other way. But in this particular situation, she's being a bitch, and I don't understand why he feels the need to bring a girl to a concert. So let's read some of the comments and see what other people are saying. Why did she only find out who you were going with when you got home? Who did she think you were going with? I think they need to go to couples therapy, and by they, I mean OP and ChatGPT. Oh. Okay, whatever. I'm so over people saying that these stories are fake. Who cares? Who cares? Just, like, read the story and move on. Had you and your wife talked about your friendship with Sarah prior to this? Everyone's just saying it's difficult when neither of them exist. The whole story is made up. LMAO, not sure if this is real or something silly, but hell. If you took your female coworker to a music show without telling your wife, yes, you're the asshole, regardless of your wife not wanting to go. Is it okay if your wife goes out with a male coworker to bond over their mutual love or something? Yeah. No. You're in your 30s, you should know better. How would you feel if your wife went out with another man? Who did you expect to go with if you knew your wife wasn't into this particular group? Why did your wife find out who you went with only after the fact? You and your wife can have different musical tastes, interests, hobbies, etc., but your wife declining your invite to the concert doesn't mean you're free to take another woman out on a date. See, that's how I see it too. Like, it's just weird. But then again, like, I also just see from the wife's side, I'm like, why couldn't you just sacrifice one night of not liking what you're listening to just to make your significant other happy? Like, I do agree that you can have different interests and hobbies and musical tastes, but at the same time, that doesn't mean that you just have to, like, you always say no to those things. You know, like, if your partner would want you to be a part of their hobby sometimes and their interests sometimes, I feel like as a person in a relationship, that's kind of like not your duty, but I don't know how else to say it. But like, it's your duty to also spend time with your significant other doing things that they love, and then vice versa. Like, for me, it's golf, because my boyfriend, for the past, like, oh my God, our whole entire relationship, he's always wanted me to golf. And I did a good 2 years of golfing with him, like, very, very consistently, and going to the range and all that stuff. And I'm just not good. I'm not a good golfer. So I've given up. And now he goes with friends a lot, which is great and great for him. Like, I love that he gets to spend time with his friends and go golfing and stuff. I just can't do it anymore. Like, once in a while I'll do it, but it was getting to the point where we would go every single weekend together, and then for a while we were going to the range every week on like a Monday or a Tuesday, and I just wasn't getting any better, and I don't like that. So but then again, I go to golf tournaments with him, even though I don't necessarily love to watch golf tournaments and stuff like that. And I just feel like that's like what you do in a relationship. And obviously, he does the same for me. Like, he'll do things that I enjoy, like going to scary movies all of the time, even though he hates scary movies. Like, he literally despises scary movies. But we love each other and we want to make each other happy. And that's just what you do in a relationship. So I think they both need to figure out why they're in this relationship in the first place, because are you just gonna, like, I mean, it's just one, okay, it's one instance of this, but the way that she's talking to him is just really disrespectful. Like, why do you need to speak down on him just because his music taste? That makes no sense. But everyone's saying it's fake anyways, so maybe it's fake. Fuck it, I don't really care. But anyways, we're going to move on to the next story. And this is actually an update. So, the last episode, we read this story, and this is the second update. So, in the last episode, it was the first story, and then we read an update, and this is update number 2. I'm looking forward to seeing what this says. Okay, update 2. Will I be the asshole to divorce my wife after she said she wanted to send our son to a conversion camp? So, a little over 2 weeks ago, I posted about my soon to be ex wife putting both my son and me in the hospital because he is gay. First of all, I'd like to thank everyone for the support and the advice that we've received. The kind words were overwhelming. To all the trolls saying that this is fake, God knows I wish it was. Maybe I didn't make much sense because I was extremely shaken, so I apologize if that's the case. Now for the update. It's been difficult ever since, but don't worry, this is not a bad update. First of all, I was able to get an emergency custody order. I'm very, very relieved because many of you warned me about how people can have their kids forcefully taken by those conversion camps, and I'm relieved that she can't do that anymore. I'm still overly anxious and only leave my son alone when he's at school. I've instructed all of the teachers to make sure no one but me approaches him, and thank God my boss has been understanding on the matter. I've been granted the exclusive use of our house as well, so I've changed the locks and installed security cameras. Many friends and family members from my side, of course, have been visiting often to give us both emotional support and safety. Many of you also advised me to document every injury that my son and I sustained. Fortunately, my son didn't suffer a concussion. So I took plenty of pictures and gave them to my lawyer, and she has also taken my son's and my daughter's testimonies. Wait. She has also taken my son's, and my daughter's testimony. Given all the charges my wife is facing, child abuse both physically and emotionally, neglect and endangerment, assault and battery, hate crime and domestic violence, yeah, it doesn't look very good for her. Our lawyer is confident that I will 100% be granted full custody. She also said that it's likely my soon to be ex's attorney will recommend that she gives up her parental rights, given the overwhelming evidence against her. Also, it's very likely that my son and I, possibly even my daughter if she asks for it, will be granted a restraining order against her. My lawyer has told me CPS involvement will only strengthen my case, as they are thoroughly investigating everything. While we're still waiting to get the court date, I am feeling highly confident and relieved for the first time since all this shit happened. I've gathered tons of overwhelming evidence against the toxin, thanks to that person who came up with that name. I'll keep everyone updated, and thank you again for all the advice and support my kids have received. I honestly don't know how I could have gotten through this without all of you. Y'all just saved a family. Be proud. Thank God, because that wife needed, I really hope that she gets a hefty sentence and like understands what she did wrong at some point in her life, because she's so hateful, and I can't imagine being a person filled with that much hate, especially for your own child. Like, that's just another level of craziness and really sad and disappointing, because it's just, as a parent, like, you're supposed to support your kids. Obviously, now if they're like abusing someone or beating people up at school or being a bully, then no, you're not supposed to support them. But like when it's comes to them and figuring out who they are and their identity as a person and their sexual identity, like, why do you feel the need to change that about your kid? Even if you don't, because I'm very aware and I am not ignorant to the fact that a lot of people in the world don't are homophobic and against gay marriage and all of that. Like, I'm not ignorant to that fact. So obviously these type of people do exist, but it's just crazy to me that, like, when it's your own kid, you can't even look inside yourself and think, well, you know what? Maybe this isn't right. Maybe I am being hateful, and maybe the way that I'm thinking about this is wrong. And you can't be like, you can't just give your kids support. Like, I just don't understand how you can't, especially as a mother and having a maternal instinct, not to be able to support your kid in such a huge thing. Because obviously I'm sure it was hard for him to come out in the first place, and it's just really sad, but I'm not ignorant to the fact that these type of people exist. So it's just really hard to believe that someone would go to this extent, because sometimes, you expect the typical at first denial of the situation or denial of the fact that, because this happens a lot, and I've heard this with like many people that have come out as gay or bisexual or transgender. Like, their parents at first will be like, no, like, there's no way, like, yeah, like, you're going through a phase or something. That's definitely very common. But then it's like, after it sinks in, okay, this is my kid, I love my kid, I'm going to be supportive of my kid, and I'm going to open my heart and open my mind to them and realize that maybe my way of thinking isn't right. And then you can grow and change. But then to go this far as to physically assaulting your own child because they're gay, that's just another level of insanity. Okay, let's read some comments. I'm so glad you're feeling more confident now, and it's amazing to see how you're protecting your kids. You've done the right thing by taking action and getting the support you needed. Stay strong for your kids. You're doing a great job. OP is that father every child wants, a protector. OP is the parent every child deserves. Yeah, seriously. Because even he at first wasn't totally, he was giving that reaction of like, I'm not sure about this, but I'm going to support my kid no matter what. And I love him and I just want him to be happy, which is how every parent should react. Because even though at first he was cautious of it, he still opened his mind and opened his heart and realized that all his kid really needs is support in this. And I am so happy for you and your son and daughter that this is turning out in your favor. That being said, I'm so sorry that you all had to go through this. I've been following your stories since the very first post, and I commented on almost every post. And I just have to say, as the chosen mom of so many queer kids, you're the parent they all wanted. The one who stood by them and stood up for them, and so many of them didn't get even a single parent who did that. So I'm just so proud of you. I'm actually crying while I'm writing this because I'm just thinking of all my kids and the ones I call my kids who have no one besides their chosen family to love them unconditionally. Thank you for being what a parent is supposed to be. And thank you for putting your son first, and just thank you for accepting him as he is. I hope that you are a beacon of acceptance to other parents whose kids will eventually come out. And I hope that you're a safe place for any other kids in your area we need a parent figure to come out to. Who need a parent figure to come out to. I remember your comment. OP said, I remember your comment on my first update. Yes, thanks so much for the support. I'm not who I used to be, and I'm glad to say I love my son for who he is. We love that. Aw. I love him. Such a good guy. Like, thank you. This is what you need to be as a parent. Because you have to realize that your kid could be anyone. They could grow up to be anything and anyone. And it's so important to realize that you're not in control of who they are, and you shouldn't try to change the way that they are. Unless, of course, he's a psycho. He's a psycho, like we've discussed in previous episodes. In that case, probably check him into the mental ward because they need it. But we love that. Love ending on a good note. Thank God, because I hope he keeps updating because I would love to know, like, actually where the case goes and what this punishment will be for the mom. Because God knows she deserves a hefty sentence. And I hope that judge isn't, like, prejudice himself and, or whoever. Maybe it's a she. I always I don't know why I always say judge and like refer to them as a he because there are women judges too, but why am I being sexist? Okay. So we're going to move on to the advice segment of the episode, and this advice segment, this one that I'm about to read, is very long. So let's see how this goes. It's kind of written as a Reddit story, so maybe it's like close to kind of a Reddit story. I, 24 female, have been in a relationship for 5 years with my significant other, 29 male. We've been together for 5 years, and out of those 5, we have lived together for almost all 5 and have been engaged for about a year and a half. At the start of our relationship, we'll say 6 months in, I so happened to find search history of his, yes, I snooped, and no, I'm not proud of it, that showed me he was what I would call obsessively googling his most recent ex-girlfriend 3 to 4 times a day. It bothered me, sure, but honestly at that point he owed me nothing. It just seemed like a weird thing to be doing. I sat on it for a few days and brought it up, not in an accusatory way. I took ownership of the fact that I had looked, but I did let him know that it bothered me, and we had, from memory, relatively productive conversation about it, and to my knowledge, it had stopped there. Fast forward to the almost present. We've now moved across the country for his work, so I am alone here, other than with him, no close friends or families. This past January, so 11 months prior to now, I was using my laptop, which I so happened to share with him since his broke, and when I opened the laptop, it was opened to his account. I was on autopilot and closed all of the windows and then realized what I had done and felt bad, so I went to his history just to reopen everything that I had closed. When I went back into the history, it showed all of the history linked to his phone as well. This history included still obsessive searches of his ex-girlfriend from now 5 years ago, but the searches were less so than they used to be, maybe once or twice a week. Okay, that's weird and still bothered me, but fine. So I keep looking and I see that he is obsessively 5, 6, 7 times a day searching a girl on Instagram who is the same name as me. But that piques my interest because, to my knowledge, she doesn't have an Instagram. Plus, that's a lot of times a day to be searching someone. I noticed that there are always times where I am not around, like after I've gone to bed or once I'm at work in the morning and he's still home, etc. I looked deeper into the search history to try to see when this began, and it's began years, like at least 8 years, so prior to our relationship. This began. I confront him about this and he freaks out and says this is his deepest secret. He says he is so embarrassed, but won't really elaborate as to why. The night that I originally found out about all of this, we had come to the conclusion that it wasn't sexual compulsion that was causing this. Instead, it was that this was a girl he had gone to college with who knew through a friend of a friend and maybe met once but never had any close relationship. She wasn't an ex, she wasn't an ex-friend, nothing. For about the next week, I could not let go of this. I just felt that there had to be more and that he wasn't telling me the whole truth, so I confronted him about it again, and I was correct. It was some sort of sexual compulsion to masturbate to her photos, but he swore up and down they'd never spoken. It wasn't like an emotional cheating or any sort of relationship outside of our own. He swore that it was all one-sided and his own weird, perverted sexual compulsion. I had no clue how to feel about this, but I made it very clear to him that I loved him, and yeah, I thought it was weird and gross and creepy, but I would deal with it. We would work through it as long as he promised to stop. I didn't fully believe, even at this time, that he would stop, and so I made it clear that if he were to slip up, that I just wanted him to be honest with me about it, and that we would work from there. But that if I found out on my own accord that this was continuing, then I would be done. An important caveat to all of this is that I know he watches corn. Do I love it? No. But I know that so many men do, and it's not necessarily my place to tell him to stop. In connection is with this, we have not been able to consistently have sex for the past 4 years. He swears up and down it's not because of the porn, that it's his physical health problem or mental health problem or XYZ, whatever problem you want to say that it could be. This past weekend, I was fed up with not having sex, and I felt deeply insecure about this tangential friend of a friend Instagram girl with the same name as me that he obsessively masturbated to for so long, so I brought it back up. I accused him of not being able to have sex because he must masturbate so much to his Instagram girlfriend that it leaves nothing left for me, and he fessed up. He started by telling me that he did still Google her on Instagram at least once a week, but that it was all fantasy and it meant nothing. Then, upon further pushing, I found out that it was still looking at her actually multiple times a day. Despite having snooped in the past and having this information fall in my lap, I am not a snooper. It's not what I want to do. It is a violation, I think, of a relationship, and it is something I choose not to do. So I don't have any evidence of this, and it's not something I'm going to look for. He could still be doing it 6 to 7 to 8 times a day, and I will not know because I don't care to look. During this conversation, I told him I was done. I told him I would take one of our dogs with me and I would go back home, and that if he didn't want to be with me, he didn't have to. He said that he did. He said he was so sorry, said that it would never happen again, and that it means nothing. It is just masturbation, but that the appeal to her is that it is a fantasy and she's not a real person to him, and so in his fantasy, she's perfect. My mind began racing the same way that it did 11 months ago, and it just rocked my mental state. The other girl is so much skinnier than I am. And in my mind, because our relationship is so good, minus the sex issues and his personal masturbation issues, that the issue had to be because I'm not as thin as her. I know that probably is incorrect. I know that this probably has nothing to do with me, but I can't rationalize it any other way. I don't know what to do. He is apologetic and seems deeply sorrowful over it. I don't want to break up with him. I really do love him, and minus this, there are no issues. I don't quite know what my question is. I'm just looking for some advice or opinion or anything really. Okay. What I have to say is I'm going to be completely honest here and say that I do feel like you're thinking you're saying we don't have any issues other than this. But this is a big issue. This isn't something that you can just get past. This is him fully knowing. I don't understand how he doesn't I think he knows that this is why he can't have sex with you. And I'm sorry to say, I know that a lot of men, you're saying a lot of men watch porn and that it's not your place to tell him to stop, but in my opinion and in my relationship, I actually did about 2 years ago ask my boyfriend to stop watching because it was affecting our sex life, and I was not. And it does, like, it truly does. It's very scientifically proven that this does affect relationships and sexual relationships with another person because there's many reasons, but a big one is that they become so like desensitized to regular sex, and they're so used to seeing like the crazy stuff that is corn, that regular hookup just doesn't get them the same way. Like, it just doesn't make them feel the same way. And the only solution to that is to stop watching, because there is a thing called addiction, and you can be addicted to corn. And when that comes into the equation, when there's something that you can be addicted to, that's probably telling you that it's not the best thing. Like, even if you're not addicted to it, if it's something that you could possibly get addicted to, I feel like that's just, you kind of already know that that's not like the greatest thing to be doing. Because like gambling, I hate gambling, and that's something that you can get addicted to. Obviously, like drinking, you can get addicted to, and it's not the best for you at all. Not saying I don't do it, but things like that. So I don't want to tell you, like, oh my God, just break up, blah, 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 because I know that it's not that easy. But I feel like since this has been a continuing problem, it's been a continuous problem, and he's not willing to give it up, and he's just doing it continuously. I think that already shows you his level of commitment and how much you can trust him, which I don't think is a lot because you've already talked about this and already had this discussion previously, and he has yet to stop, even though he's told you that he wouldn't do it anymore. And obviously, you can't monitor his phone like he's a little baby, Like, you can't do that for your whole relationship for the rest of your life. So at this point, I feel like since it's already happened previously, and this is like multiple times now that it's happening. And not only that, but this is also affecting your relationship because your sexual relationship and your sexual desires have not been able to be met because of this. Because if he can masturbate every single day to some random girl fantasy on Instagram, then he can have sex with you. He's making excuses to tell you why he can't. But if he completely stopped all that, I guarantee you it gets 100% better. In my experience, that's what happened. Like, seriously, it improved so much. And yeah, I think that he's just denying that and denying his own responsibility and not taking accountability of the situation, which is not good. And from what I can tell and the details that you're giving me, I don't think that this relationship is worth it. And I don't think that you should continue being in this relationship. And although I know it's really hard to get out of a relationship, especially obviously you love him, and I completely understand that. And you've been with him for so long. And I've gone through the same situation. I've been through a breakup with a guy that I was with for 4 years, and yeah, it was not easy. It was very hard. I had to sit on the decision for so long. I was sick to my stomach thinking about it. And then after I ended things with him, I felt much better. And I just felt like pulling the band-aid off, like just ripping it off real quick. I know it's hard, but you're 24, you're still so young. I think there are so many fish in the sea, and although it doesn't feel like it when you're in that situation and you feel like this is the only person for you, you truly truly feel like this is the only person for you, because I know how that feels. And you're like, I'm never going to love anyone like this. I'm never going to find anyone that I get along with this much. Like, trust me when I say that you will find someone else. And I mean, if you guys do break up, I recommend taking time to yourself and really like learning more about yourself, because being in a relationship for so long, since you were 19 years old, because you're 24 now, and you've been with him for 5 years and you were 19 when you started dating, that can really stunt your growth a lot, like mentally and emotionally, because when you're in a relationship, I feel like in a lot of ways you put a lot of things on hold and you don't focus on as much on yourself, especially at such a young age. So if you guys did end up breaking up, I would highly recommend like truly doing interpersonal work and learning more about yourself, because that's the number one thing that I'm so happy that I got to have the opportunity to do when I went through a breakup. Like, I truly, truly, truly recommend that so much, because when I think back to that time, as it was very much like just as happy as it was sad. I was really, really sad. It was like two parallels. Like, I was very sad about the situation, but I was very happy about how much I could focus on myself and how much I could grow and how much I could focus on building friendships with other people and focusing on my personal skills and social skills and getting out there and being out there and having fun again. And I genuinely recommend that so much, especially to someone who's been in a relationship since they were 19 for 5 years, because mine was 4 years and I had been in that relationship since 18. And yeah, so I'm sorry to be the bearer of bad news, and obviously don't have to, like, I'm just a girl. I'm just a girl on your screen telling you that this advice. So obviously do with that what you will, but I truly recommend it, and I think that there's such a positive benefit to having time to yourself and really being able to seek and discover who you are and learning more about yourself and like genuinely gaining that perspective and self-love that you don't really get the opportunity to gain when you're in a relationship at such a young age for such a long time. So, yeah, I hope that everything works out for you. Again, if you guys want advice or you just, you want to vent, the Google form is below for the advice segment. Yeah. I'm going to move on to my little chit-chatty segment with you guys. This is the last segment that I'm going to do in every episode now because I've decided to move it to the end so that I don't have to hear people that like just stumble upon my videos complain about how I'm like yapping in the beginning, but I still want to chit-chat with you guys, obviously. So I decided to move it to the end so that those of you who want to hear and you want to chat with me, then you can. And if you don't want to, then you can skip or end the video now. But I'm going, I don't really know. What did I do this weekend? We've been taking Willa, our cat, our little baby cat. She's only like 8 or 9 months old, I think. And she is like such a good girl. She's so good outside and like in the car and stuff. So we have a stroller for them, and we've been taking her to the farmers market on the weekends. And she just sits in her little stroller. Like I open it up so that she gets fresh air and sunlight and stuff. And then I put like the harness and I strap it to the stroller, and she just has the best time. Like, I feel like it's really helping her to get more socialized, even though she's already such a nice girl. Like, when people pet her, she's so sweet. I can't even like explain. I can't even believe that this cat is as sweet as she is. She's just a little baby angel. It's crazy. But yeah, that's been really fun. And it's such a big market. It's so nice. And tonight we're going to dinner with some of our family friends. They're like older. They're older in their 60s, 70s, maybe. I don't know. But we're going to dinner with them, and they're like super, super, super. They're retired and they're really well off, and they live in the neighborhood right next to us actually, and it's like a rich people neighborhood. And I was just thinking about how like I hate rich people restaurants. Like don't get me wrong, I'm literally so grateful for anything, for any like kind gesture like that. Obviously, it's so nice to be taken out to dinner, especially a nice dinner. Obviously, I'm very grateful for that. But why do I just want some chicken nuggets? Like, I'm reading the menu and I'm like, what is foie gras? Like, what is this? Salmon prepared in eyeballs and fish juice? Like, I don't know what this stuff is. And grilled chicken breast for $70. What the hell? I got chicken breasts in my fridge I could grill right now for like $3. So it's just funny to me because I'm like such a low maintenance girly, and I'm not saying that in like a pick me way. I genuinely just like love unhealthy food, and I want like a triple decker, or like, oh my god, wait, what is the thing called? Oh, triple dipper from Chili's. Ooh, the wings are so good at Chili's. It genuinely is like, so it's a disgrace. No, it's not a disgrace. It's, I don't know what I'm trying to say, but they're so good. I love their wings. They're like, how do they make them so yummy? And then their ranch, ooh, chef's kiss. But I was also thinking today about how I really wish that I was like fully aware of, I think about this all the time actually. I really wish that I was fully aware when I was a child of how amazing childhood is and how you truly don't have to worry about anything. And I really wish that I wasn't like always trying to grow up so fast when I was little. I wanted to be, because I have an older sister. She's 12 years older than me, and then I have an older brother who's years older than me. Wait, how old is he? No, 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 no. He's maybe 5 or 6 years older than me. Why do I not know my brother's age? I think he's like 5 or 6 years older than me. But so that's all I experienced is like older people in my life. And all I wanted to do was be a grown up. And I always pictured like, what am I going to look like when I get older? Like, am I going to be pretty? Am I going to be this? Am I going to be that? And what am I going to do for a job? Like, who am I going to be? And I literally started wearing makeup in like fourth grade. I remember at parent teacher conferences, my teacher told my mom, like, oh, you let her like wear makeup? And my mom's like, yeah. And she's like, she wears a lot of blush and like a lot of mascara and stuff. And I'm like, and then my mom told me that. And I was like, okay, bitch, like, just say you're jealous. No, obviously, I didn't think that. I actually loved that teacher. She was like one of my favorite teachers. And then in fifth grade, I think I started stuffing my bra. And girl, what the hell was I doing? Because I was putting pairs of socks in my training bra. Like, flat, like straight up pairs of socks, like folded pairs of socks. And they were the pointiest boobs I've ever seen in my life. Like, and then I would wear like a little V-neck. What? I'm in fifth grade. What's wrong with me? Oh my God, stop. And then we'd be playing dodgeball. And apparently so everyone saw, I guess, that had socks in my bra. So then I got rumors spread about me that I was stuffing my bra, which I was. But I was like, no, I wasn't. Why was it so embarrassing to stuff your bra back then? Because now I'm like, yeah, I stuffed my bra. I did. What? Who's it? Like, whose problem? Who is the problem with it? What's it to you? Why do you care? Sorry, I want some tickle bitties. I don't know what to tell you. And then in like sixth grade, I would literally, me and my friends actually, like multiple of my friends, we would duct tape our boobs together to make us have like cleavage, like hard ass, like crazy cleavage. It was actually crazy. But I had nothing, so like I had to really tape them together, and there was just like a slit, and it was crazy. I don't know why the hell, girl. Because now I'm thinking back and I'm like, I want to be a child again. Please give me my childhood back. Because the way that everything was so fun, it was so much more fun. Like, everything was just more fun. I was just rip sticking down the street with my friends, pogo sticking, skippeting. Like, I miss it. I miss when everything was just so, like, I didn't have to worry about anything. My biggest worry was, like, what fucking Webkins I was gonna buy, or like what silly bands I had that day. Silly bands were crazy. I was so obsessed. We were all so obsessed with silly bands in my school. It was crazy. But yeah, I always think about that. I'm like, wow, I really wish that we were like fully aware that we need to enjoy this time being a child, because when you get older you realize like how much you took it for granted, and it's just so upsetting. It genuinely upsets me so much. I'm like, I just wish I knew, but obviously like that's not how it works. That's not how it works. And also, looking like nostalgia is such a weird thing, because I can make like situations that I honestly wasn't even that happy in seem like in my mind they were like the best times of my life. And then I think really deeply and I'm like, wait, that was not the best time of your life. You were actually miserable. So why are you like fantasizing and like glamorizing some of the worst times in your life? Like, always think back to certain like situations in college when I was really heavily going through my eating disorder, and I'm always like, girl, you were literally so starving that you hated everyone around you, and you were the biggest bitch to everyone because you were starving. You were skin and bones. And why are you trying to romanticize that? Like, you were not happy. I don't understand. I mean, obviously there were times that like I was happy, but for the most part, a lot of my college years, I was a miserable bitch. I was miserable. And like I feel so bad for myself back then, and I really truly think that it was mostly to do with my eating disorder, and like obviously I wasn't getting any fuel. I wouldn't eat. I'm not It's actually so crazy. Like, people around me had to think I had a problem, right? Like, they knew I had a problem, right? I would refuse. I would get so stressed out before going to like group dinners for like my friends' birthdays, and I wouldn't eat any of the bread on the table. I'd be like, "No, thank you." I would get a salad with like dressing on the side so that I could put like the dressing on, and I'd just be so psycho and crazy. And I feel like people around me, because I made it look like I was just a really healthy person. Like I put on a facade of me just like promoting healthiness and like I'm so healthy. I work out every day. I'm so happy and healthy, when in reality I was starving myself and the least healthy person ever, because I wasn't eating anything. I was probably getting 1 gram of protein a day, maybe not even, and like 200 calories, because all I would eat is like I didn't eat pasta for years. I didn't eat like bread for years. And there was like a good 2 years where I didn't eat any of this stuff. And I didn't eat like candy. I really rarely ate sugar. Like I don't even know. I don't think I ever really ate sugar, honestly. Like the most sugar I would have is in my Dunkin' coffee, and I would make them only do 1 pump of the flavor, and I would do almond milk, and it was like honestly the nastiest coffee ever. So I really don't know why. I mean, I got that like so often, but yeah, it's always so crazy when I look back and I'm like, I really put on this facade, and I feel so bad because people were, and that's why it's like social media isn't real. And people were probably thinking, like, wow, I'm so happy and healthy and like I've lost so much weight. But in reality, like I had to literally starve myself and be so miserable to lose that weight. And it's so sad that like I was contributing to being the person on social media making my life look so much better than it really is. Like, look, I'm so skinny, and also I'm so happy and I'm so healthy, and look at my life, when in reality I wasn't. It's really sad, and that's what I always think about, is like there are probably people struggling a lot behind the screen of what you're actually seeing. And obviously like I don't wish that on them, but I'm sure it's the case for a good amount of people. And yeah, so I don't know. I don't know how I even got into that topic, but yeah, that's what I think about. That's my daily thoughts. So I hope you enjoyed this episode. I'm tired, but I'm about to film a mini episode. So if you guys don't know, we do mini episodes on Mondays and Thursdays, and long episodes on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, all at 8 a.m. So join us, guys. Turn on the notifications so that you get a notification whenever I post. And also, guys, sorry, I just burped. Excuse me. I made a Discord, and I'm going to link it below. I don't really know how to use it, but I want to like figure out how to like have more of a community little like sitch with you guys and like chat about things and stories, but also like other things, like just how things that are going on in our lives and stuff. So I don't know, but if you want to join, the link is below. Please join, because I like want to figure out how to use it and how to like, I don't know, build a community with you guys more than just like the comments. And that's like really it. That's really the only place that we get to chat with each other. So yeah, but I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. As always, I love you, and I hope to see you in the next episode. Bye.